I want to move on to Peter. Governor Peter is going to do a few closing remarks, and then we're going to get right to the Q&A. So Barbara's been keeping track of the Q&A, and we'll go with Peter a few marks, and we'll get right to Q&A after you, Peter. Go ahead.
Thank you, Alan, very, very much. And I want to thank you for putting on an amazing foundation seminar today. This is one of the big goals that I've had for this coming Rotary year. Joe, as well, taking on this big job of raising funds for the Rotary Foundation. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's really about leaving a legacy, and the work that we do, the amount of lives that we touch in our local communities, the number of lives that we touch when we do global grants overseas is unfathomable in all the different areas of focus. So this is why we're pushing this, why I have been pushing this. And there's constantly examples of making a difference even now, not only by the giving, but I know that the Miami Club is looking to do a global grant with the Bahamas. When you take a look of how we all came together for Hurricane Dorian, and having the 5 clubs in Grand Bahama working together, and with that credibility, I've been able to, as many of us here as well have, going to other districts and asking for DDF, asking for funds, and coming up with over $1.2 million to the point of when Dorian just passed, and we're still getting monies coming in. So this is the kind of difference that we can make. And I'm kind of putting a plug in here, Phil, for that. I'll be working with you as well to see what we can do to raise funds. There's also the need of hospital beds in Grand Bahama, and we've got connections there to make that happen. I'm glad, Alan, that you brought up about our district being in a unique position. I believe there's only one other district in the continental United States that has 2 countries. So that opportunity gives us such incredible flexibility to make a huge difference right here within our community. Marushka, quick heads up, great job for your first presentations, dear. I'm really proud of you. And we also asked at PETS that every club, please put in your foundation goals of what you want to try to raise. We're still missing quite a few. And we also talked about the goals that you have, or strategic plans where you all get together as a club and see what you're trying to accomplish. We're doing great on membership. We're doing amazing things for foundation. I've been receiving a lot of compliments for the great things that are going on during this pandemic, how we've been able to shift and meet together. We're missing that fellowship, but again, we are making a difference in the world. And so keep going, folks, keep meeting, and this too shall pass. And it brings, and I want to close in with our Rotary vision statement, because it's the quintessential vision statement that makes a difference. And LU, that video, I think, is so touching when you see about the legacy of that granddad and the granddaughter, of how to perpetuity, when you give to that endowment fund, it'll keep coming back so we can make all the difference. I'm so proud of all of you, all of the time that you give. You have it in your heart. You have the passion. Joe Roth, your passion, man. All of you for what you're doing here this year. So I thank you. And so together we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. So with those last words, Alan, thank you for letting me.
Thank you, Peter. And Barbara, why don't we get right? I know it's getting right about noon now, so why don't we see if we get to some questions and see if we can answer some questions.
Okay. And some of these have been answered, but I'll ask them in case other people had that same question. One was from Terry Robinson about district grants. What happens if a district grant has been approved and because of COVID, it needs to be rescheduled the following fiscal year? If the event does have to be canceled, what procedure do we follow? It's just a matter of letting the district know via an email. Elihu, Ferris, or someone on district grants, do you want to talk about that? What happens if it gets closed out?
Yes, a district grant must be completed within the year that it is granted. However, if you receive monies in advance from the foundation, those funds must be returned to the district because the district must return those to the Rotary Foundation. You cannot change a grant without permission from the Rotary Foundation. So if there is, we had an example this year of a grant that was for specific items, and those items were no longer needed. They needed to change the items to something else. We have to submit an application to the Rotary Foundation to be able to do that, and they must approve it. So any grant within the Rotary year approval must be completed and closed out by the club within that Rotary year.
I want to make a second comment on that. Elihu's correct. It is a little bit of a procedure. I did this for one in this year's spending plan. There was one club early on that came to me and said, the school doesn't need dictionaries, they need tablets because they're closed down. And I was able to send something to the Rotary Foundation. It was hard, they have to approve it, but they said they would approve it. And I did that for a particular club. The other thing to answer the story is, let's say you had a situation where you had a dictionary project and it was supposed to be closed by June 30th. And you bought the dictionaries, you got the receipts, they're in somebody's living room, okay? But you can't take them to the school because the school's closed because it was COVID. But they were purchased and they're in the house, they just haven't been delivered. Elihu, in that situation, would that grant be okay?
Yes, it would. But we would have to provide the receipts and the proof that the money has been spent and properly document the grant. And we can say that they will be distributed at such and such a date later and it would be approved.
Correct.
And we can close it.
I'm using that example because we had one club that says, well, we couldn't do the dictionary, so we didn't buy them. Well, you didn't buy them by June 30th. You didn't do the grant. You have to send the money back, okay? Because you didn't do it. On the other hand, the people that bought them, that had the receipts, just couldn't deliver them because the school was closed, that grant was okay. So it makes a difference. You gotta, if you want to do the grant, you still got to spend the money, have the receipts. And there I gave you a perfect example of two dictionary grants. One, they had to return the money, and one, they didn't have to return the money, and they can deliver the dictionaries when the school reopened. So I'll go on. Barbie, you want to go to another question?
Yeah. So there was a question about helicopter golf ball drop and how they actually submit the donation, you know, where they physically send it so that the money the club gets from the member or raise will be used to buy the ball drop tickets. So please explain again. I know when the tickets come out, all the instructions are on them, but tell them how they'll get the tickets and where they send the money.
Let me answer that.
It came
Okay,
up in shows, but yeah, anyone.
I don't know if Yoli is still there. What's going to happen is all the club presidents are going to get 4 tickets per member mailed to them. And then the club presidents will get the tickets to their members. When the member buys or sells the tickets, they need to take the money and the ticket stubs, and it says right on there where the address is to mail those tickets back. And there's a post office box that are mailed back. And then they also have to fill out the multi-donor form, and that will be included with the instructions to the president when they send out the tickets. If they have any questions, they can always call me.
Lee, can I ask a question just for everybody?
Sure.
Let's say they didn't fill out the multi-donor form. What happens then?
The multi-donor form then goes to
Now, let's say the president just turns the money in and doesn't fill out the multi-donor form, what happens? Who gets the credit?
Though what's going to happen, that they can't fill that, they have to fill the multi-donor form out, because that's how, that goes to the Rotary Foundation. That's how the person with the funds, that's how the Rotarian is credited for that donation.
In other words, the Rotarian doesn't get credit unless there's a multi-donor form
Absolutely,
filled
right,
out.
right.
So can I ask the question? Does the,
Yes.
if there's no multi-donor form, do the points go to the club?
No, because there's no money going into the foundation. That money, what will happen is we won't send the money in, we will call the club back.
Yes,
Right.
Alan, I filled that form before for others.
I know, but my point is, if people call me and they go, I don't understand. I've given a lot more than this. How come I only have this many points? Okay, well, the problem is somebody in the club is not filling out the multi-donor form. Sometimes usually it's the treasurer or the secretary. But the point I'm making is it's important to fill out that form if you want to get credit for the donation. Not only that, but also the points.
Hey, Alan, that's
Okay.
one of the problems.
One thing, if it's not a couple of people, they can also have the one-person contribution form. If they're going to send the money directly to the PO box, they have to. I'm going to send both forms, the multiple and the other one, because I see with this problem, if the clubs are meeting together at their meeting in their place of meeting, they can do it, and somebody from there, maybe the foundation chair, can fill up the multiple form for 4, 5, 6 people. But if they're going to send the money directly to us, then it will be the contribution form, which is for one person. You understand what I'm saying, Alan?
Yeah.
You know.
We can also be a speaker, Alan, at the club. So if any club wants us to come and speak on the golf ball drop and how the money goes in and what happens, we would love to do that.
Got it.
Okay. Next question
Okay, perfect.
from Lorraine Conus wants to know, the Paul Harris Society, how does it work for couples?
Somebody want to take that?
Yeah.
Marushka, are you there? Oh, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, I'll be happy to. It doesn't work for couples. Paul Harris Society is an individual, just like being a Paul Harris Fellow. It's individual. Once you get to the point of being a major donor, then it deals with couples. The foundation has arranged it so that if there are spouses who are both Rotarians, their combined contributions can be totaled to get to major donor status. But for Paul Harris Society, it's individual.
All right. Joe, while you are unmuted, or unmute yourself again, people were asking about information on your fireside chats. I know we did a flyer for your event. If you'd like us to send that out to the district, we can do that for you. Just let me know. But
yeah, what I would ask is go on to DACDB, and if you go on DACDB to district calendar, you'll see both events are on the calendar, and there is a link on the calendar, to a Zoom link, so that they can actually just click it and log into the actual meetings next Wednesday and on November 7th directly from the calendar on DACDB.
Between 6 and 7 p.m.
Correct.
Perfect.
okay.
All right,
And
Barbara.
Manahar wants to know, when will we know if our district grants for this year are approved, and when can we start spending?
All right. First of all, they are approved. I sent an email to the president informing them that the grant, that the spending plan was approved. Of course, I'm hoping, I don't have the information from the treasurer yet. They have to make sure their dues are current. They paid their dues, international and local dues, but they are the spending plan. So if you have a grant in the spending plan, I received word from Notary, the spending plan was approved. Do your grant. Now, again, you don't have the money. And again, why don't we have the money? Because grants from last year are still not closed, okay? And we're working on them. There's a handful of clubs, but the spending plan is approved. Go start your grant. Spend your money if you want.
Okay, I think I got all the questions. Let me know if you. If I didn't-
Barbara, this is Elihu. I'd like to add one additional comment to Alan. If a club is questioning whether their grant was approved, I will post a copy of the approved spending plan on DACDB district documents, secure documents, and a copy of the approved grant. Block grant will be there listing all of the grants.
Okay, I'm just going through the chat, making sure I got them all. I think that's it. If anyone else has any questions, you can unmute yourself.
Two extra items here as well. I am planning to go to GBI here. Apparently November the 1st, the country is opening up, and hope to spend about a week there. So stay tuned, folks, in GBI. We can talk about it. And the second thing, we've started a conversation for the end of this Rotary year to recognize some Paul Harris Fellows, and doing it on a Monday night. And so stay tuned to hear more details about that coming up. Thanks.
Quick follow-up on my question, if I may be.
Yeah, go ahead, Manhar.
Yes, thanks for answering the question, Alan. My question was, we had applied for 4 grants, and we did get your email or email which said that some of the grants made it to the 3rd line or 3rd priority. I don't know if our club made it to 3rd or not, so that's what I was trying to get. If we are going to go, which of our grants are already approved?
Well, slow down. That we notified the clubs early on after the spending plan was approved by the share committee. While the share committee voted, we told them that the grants that were in the club. Okay, if you have a question about a specific grant and just do me a favor, send me an email. Tell me this is our grant, and I'll tell you which ones are in the spending plan. Okay, just do that, and I will tell you. Okay, if it's in the spending plan, it's been approved. Okay, so for example, let's say you submitted 5 grants, but we didn't have enough money to fund that many grants. So I think we funded, let's say, through 3 rounds. I don't know if anybody remembers. So I would guess your first 3 are definitely accepted. Your 4 and 5 may not be. But I will double check it. If you ask me about the specific grant, I'll let you know, I promise. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Alan Cohn, I think you're going to make your Gator game.
No, it's probably already started, but it's okay. I don't mind. This is important. By the way, I hope everyone enjoyed this. I know we normally do it live, but we got a lot of participation, and I think it turned out to be a pretty good day, I think. So I'm not just saying that because it was on the foundation chair. I think it turned out pretty good. So that's it. I think we're finished. Anybody else? All right, everyone say goodbye. Peter's waving at me. That means we're done. When the district governor waves.
This is goodbye. So thank you, everyone, for being here today.
Great seminar. Really, truly was.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.